Hey everyone, Tony Mello Properties team. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to make a little video. Hopefully, I'm going to keep it very, very brief. Um, I'm sure this has already been, we've already made a video like this. We've put it on our YouTube page. But I'm going to do it again, just in case I haven't. I'm not sure if I did or didn't do it already. So, I'm going to start doing a lot more of these things, and they're going to be more or less to answer specific questions that people send to us on pretty much a repeated basis. And the idea is that I can kind of pick and choose these answers and kind of send it to these people to answer the questions, as opposed to me texting or emailing or calling and talking to people and answering that specific question over and over. So it'll be basically kind of just a quick answer tutorial on specific topics. And for this one, it's more or less going to be on pre-foreclosure. People are they're drawn to pre-foreclosure because sometimes the price on pre-foreclosures are cheaper than what if they've been on the market a while. They know kind of what properties should and shouldn't cost, and once they see one that is 50, 60, 70, $80,000 cheaper than what everybody else is, it obviously catches their attention, and they want to know more about pre-foreclosures. So pre-foreclosures are foreclosures that are not yet foreclosures. That's why they're pre-foreclosures. That being said, the owners that own the property still own the property, and chances are don't want to sell the property. That's a key thing with the pre-foreclosure. These things are not good for people that are on the market that want to find a house and buy a house. They're good for investors. So now that the bank has sent a notice to the court to say that these people have not paid their mortgage and they're going to start the process of going into foreclosure, that is in essence the pre-foreclosure. So the owners of the property, not the sellers, the owners, obviously there's a difference there. They don't want to sell in most cases unless they're in a bind and then something happens and they, you can approach them. These people are people that may not want to sell the house. These are people that technically own the house and have no right, no obligation to sell the house, especially if they don't want to sell it. They have what's called the right of redemption, which means up until the foreclosure, the day that the auctioneer or the court says this property needs to be taken back, they have the right to come in and pay what they owe, plus court fees, plus attorney fees, plus all that stuff. So if they come in and say, all right, here's my $15,000 and there's another, $5,000 in fees, whatever it is, right then and there, it stops. So for the people that want to buy a house and they come to me and say, Tony, can you look into this pre-foreclosure? I'm interested in it. That's great. That's fine. But just bear in mind that the work that you do from now until the time that it actually forecloses could be for nothing. Because if these people fork over the money, it was for nothing. You know what I mean? So pre-foreclosures are, my opinion, a pre-foreclosure is good for an investor, because investors will find all these pre-foreclosures. They'll send them letters. We buy your ugly house for free. We'll take care of you. We give you cash next day. They do all that stuff, which is perfectly fine. I mean, that's what investors do. I've done it myself when I first started investing in all that stuff. Didn't get too far with it, but I have sent the letters out. I have talked to people, and we have, done some business, but not a lot. They're not really good for people that are on the market right now. They're more or less investor type properties, specifically because that property can disappear in a matter of seconds as long as those people decide that they want to pay, whatever it is that they pay to the bank, and they have the right to do that. The bank can't say, oh, no, 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 that's it. You're playing games. You're not paying your mortgage. We're foreclosing. They can't do that. They have the right of redemption. If they pay that money that they owe before that time, that's specified time where it actually does foreclose, bank can't do anything, and neither can we. So that's the idea with a pre-foreclosure. A pre-foreclosure is not something that is on the market, that is for sale. The bank has sent the court paperwork, in most cases a les pendens, which is basically a document that says, a court, they haven't paid their mortgage, they're in default, we're going to start the process of taking this property back. But again, that's all fine and dandy, but they can, that right of redemption, they can fork over the money and stop that whole thing instantly. I've seen it happen at the auction, where everybody's standing around, we're all going to buy a house, and all of a sudden the person comes over, here you go, here's a check, get off my property. That's the way it is. So that's a pre-foreclosure. I'm going to go into foreclosure in this one thing here. This is like 5 minutes, and it's not too bad. So that's a pre-foreclosure. Great for investors, not really great for anybody else. I, as a real estate agent, don't have access to pre-foreclosures any more than anybody else. It's not on MLS. There is no commission arrangement. So I can always reach out to the sellers, assuming I can find the sellers, or reach out to the bank, even worse, assuming I can find the bank, and say, I got people that are interested in buying this property. What do you think? Banks, honestly, forget about it. They're very, 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 they don't care about anybody else but themselves. So the banks are super difficult to get in touch with unless you knew somebody. And there are very few of us that knew somebody. So that is possible. It's difficult. Reaching out to the sellers, it's a possibility. You'd have to go to the assessors, find out the address, find the name of the person, and then, do some Googling back and forth to see if you can find a phone number or something like that to call the people to start talking to them. Most people, they go to their houses, they send them letters, they put their business cards in the door, hoping that they're going to call them back. Again, for the buyers that want to buy a house today and don't want to be fooling around with a property that may or may not happen and take forever, this really isn't the one for you. You know what I mean? So that is my thoughts on pre-foreclosure. Foreclosure. Foreclosure is now a property that they've solidly are moving in that direction of taking over the property. Foreclosures have more or less two paths. They either go to a broker and a broker lists it. In that case, MLS, I have full access to when they're doing the open houses, what they're paying for commission, pictures of the house if there's any, or at least there's got to be at least one, and all the details of a typical listing. The second path is auction. So it's either broker or it's auction. With an auction, it's an auction. So you find out, all right, on January 17th at 3 o'clock, everybody's going to get together and we're going to sit there and, bid on the property, and the highest bidder is the one that gets the property. All sales are final. You have to put money in. You have to register for it. That's how an auction happens. And there's limited liabilities and stuff like that. Sometimes you can't even look at the house. So, again, pre-foreclosure, in my opinion, pre-foreclosure foreclosures are better for investors. Investors have a little bit more money. If they make a mistake, they can kind of handle that a little bit better, as opposed to a buyer that wants to buy their first home or the second home or any whatever. That type of situation is a little bit more difficult to get into these type of properties. Pre-foreclosure being the worst, because again, it's not even for sale. You know what I mean? You can approach the seller and ask, but maybe they will, maybe they won't, unless they're in a situation where, their back is to the wall, and sometimes, most times, when their back is to the wall, that means, the heating system doesn't work, the roof leaks, the foundation is cracked and broken and crumbling on itself. So those are the types of scenarios that typically happen with a pre-foreclosure foreclosure. And in my opinion, to wrap it all up, pre-foreclosure foreclosure, they're best for investors. They're best for people that have a little bit more equity or money in the bank, that can knowledge of having worked with these type of properties, that they can kind of take them, work with them, make them into something that is worth selling or living in. Does it happen all the time? No. I mean, there's times where, foreclosure, and it's a beautiful, I've been in beautiful homes that were foreclosed on. You go in, you go, All right, I mean, the house looks beautiful. It's practically brand new. Does that happen all the time? No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? In the time that I've been doing this, 15, 16, 17 years, from my memory right now, like twice that I've seen a foreclosed home that would basically almost move in condition. You could buy the thing and just go in. All the rest of them, all the rest of them are junk. You know, they're properties that need 20, 30, 50, $100,000 worth of work. Some of them need to be gutted and completely done over everything. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, like I said, that's great when you look at the list and go, oh my God, pre-foreclosure, this thing, look at this, it's $100,000 less than everything else, you know, in the market. Let's go for it. You know, it's nothing in real estate is ever given away. Nothing in real estate is ever simple. Nothing in real estate is ever. There is no easy way. There's no fast way. There's no. So if you see something that is drastically less than, there's a good chance that it's just not going to work. So that is the whole video, 11 minutes here on pre-foreclosure, foreclosure. That's my kind of little rant on what's, you know, that how that all works. If after I send this to you, they're going to be the clients now and in the future, and you still want me to look into a pre-foreclosure or foreclosure, I can. It's just a matter of chasing down the owners or going and delivering a letter or a business card to their address and see if they respond. Doesn't mean that they may never respond. You know what I mean? You may say, all right, what happened to that property? If they don't get back to me, they don't get back to me. I can't knock down the door and make them speak, you know. So, but I'm willing to do it, and I've done it. I've done it before, where I've go knock on the door. Here you go, business card. You know what I mean? And see what happens. It doesn't happen often. I wouldn't get your hopes up, but if you want me to do it, I will most certainly do that. Chasing down, I'd rather go knock on the door, to be honest with you, than than dealing with the bank, because the banks, their heads are fatter than mine. You know what I mean? They basically, they don't want to talk to you. They don't care about you. They don't even know what the house is or where the house is. It's an asset. It's a 1234 Main Street. It's worth $150,000. Yeah, okay, fine. Go ahead and sell it. Do what you got to do. And that's the way they see that. To them, it's a balance sheet. It's a number. It's an address and a number on a piece of paper. It's not a house. It's not something that they know about, care about. They just want the particulars of, here's the details. How do we get rid of it? How do we make money off of it? End of story. So that's the bank thing. So getting in touch with those folks, it's not easy. So that's the bank thing. Getting in touch with the sellers. Again, we can send letters. We can go knock on the door and see what we can find. Sometimes it does happen, you know what I mean. But again, for not all, because we do have investor clients. For the non-investor clients, I'll put it that way. Don't get your hopes up, because a lot of those are what they are. They're pre-foreclosures. All right. So hopefully that answers a little bit about what those things are. They're not for sale. They can be for sale. Depends on the situation and the seller and that kind of thing. But for the most part, they're not for sale. Commission to pay me for the work of doing whatever it is that I'm doing to get the thing sold, bought by you. Until I get to talk to somebody. Sometimes they say, no, I ain't paying you commission. You know what I mean? And at that point, either, I don't do it, or I would have to go back to you and say, they're not paying commission. Can you pay the 2.5%, 3%, coming out of your pocket? All right. I mean, you're willing to pay it, but now we have to go back to the bank and say, all right, they're going to be paying my commission. There's 3% of the total sales plus the down payment plus the closing costs. Okay, now can they afford, the bank now, so the lender now saying, can they afford to pay the commission, the down payment, and the closing costs? And the bank may say no. So now what do we do? So I'd love to work for free. I mean, if I was a millionaire, you know what I mean? I would certainly, I'd help, you know what I mean? But I'm not. So I need to focus on making money. I need to focus on the listings that at some point in time will end up in a closing. It's that whole light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. And I know there's a commission out there because somebody told me up front that there's a commission. So we work, we go through the tunnel. Oh, there's my commission. It's out there. We get to the closing. I get my commission. I'm paid. I move on. We move on. You buy your house. You have your house. You move into your house. We stay friends. We stay clients. We stay customers. You know what I mean? We continue talking to each other. And maybe sometime in the future we do it again. But for me to do it for free with these pre-foreclosures and foreclosures, it's not an easy one. So, all right, 15 minutes. I'm going to stop right here. Pre-foreclosures, foreclosures. Hopefully, I kind of answered instead of just rambling on and not helping at all. So, hopefully, that helped. Thanks. See ya.